There are nights that change everything. Nights when the world feels cold and empty until a single moment of courage cracks it open, and you see how one scared voice can shatter decades of silence. I was there the night it happened, sitting in Mel's diner under the flickering neon, halfway dead from a double shift, just trying to remember what hot coffee tastes like when my life and hers both changed for good. If you've never believed a 6-year-old could save a grown man, maybe you've never met a kid like Olivia. It started with that sound, a quiet little whimper, easy to ignore, but impossible to forget once you've heard it. I followed it past the old jukebox, and there she was in the corner, barely more than a shadow, tiny in her wheelchair with a dress torn at the sleeve. Hair a wild tangle, cheeks streaked with tears. You ever see a child look at you like she's weighing your soul? Olivia did, brown eyes wide, silent, searching. "Are you okay?" I asked, kneeling down. She studied me so long I almost looked away, then whispered, "My daddy said it only hurts the first time. But he lied." And just like that, my world tilted. You know what I mean? I've heard a lot in 23 years on the force, but there are words that hit you harder than any punch, and that was one. I tried to keep my voice calm, asked her name, asked if she was hungry. She said, "Olivia Harrison," and started nibbling a cookie Mel brought over without even asking. No parents, no bag, just a little girl alone at midnight who said she couldn't stay there anymore. Eyes darting to the door every few seconds, waiting for someone she hoped would never show. I promised her she was safe, and for the first time in years, I meant it with my whole heart. "Olivia wouldn't go home," she said. "If I tell, something bad will happen." You see it sometimes, a kid so scared of the truth, they'd rather disappear. I sat down, put the radio away, just listened. She told me about her mama, gone since she was born, and her daddy, a good man once, until grief curdled him into someone else, especially after her accident. She fell down the stairs at 4. Ended up in that chair. "Daddy says I make everything harder," she said, voice small as a secret. I wanted to shake the world for what it had done to her. But you have to move slow with kids like Olivia. I asked her about school. She doesn't go anymore. Her dad says the world's too tough for fragile girls. About doctors, Daddy says he can take care of me. She's taught herself to make toast, reach the microwave, push that wheelchair farther than anyone guesses, and she's 6. 6. Planning her own escape in the middle of the night. She told me, "I picked this diner because it looks happy from the car window. People laughing, lights on. I hope someone would help." That's a kind of hope most adults don't have. Twist came when the door chimed and a social worker named Sarah walked in with Dr. Emma, a child psychologist. I called them, breaking protocol, trusting my gut. Sarah had this warmth that settled Olivia's nerves, and Dr. Emma? She handed Olivia a stuffed elephant and spoke so softly the whole diner leaned in. Together, they helped Olivia tell her story in drawings and whispers. The special times with Daddy that never felt right, the bruises she hid, the secrets that made her want to vanish. "Real love shouldn't make you scared," I said, and watched her face flicker with hope. Like maybe, just maybe, she believed it. The fallout was bigger than anyone expected. See, David Harrison was beloved. Neighbors called him a saint for raising a disabled child alone. School records perfect. Doctors convinced by every excuse. No one ever saw her play outside. I realized. No friends, no parties, nothing. Margaret next door finally admitted. I saw bruises, I heard crying. I told myself it was nothing because he was so nice. The principal confessed she'd noticed signs but didn't want to burden a single dad. Everyone saw something. No one said a word. That's how it always goes, right? When the trial came, Olivia sat in her blue dress by the judge, Dr. Emma at her side, therapy dog at her feet. She told her truth with more courage than most adults muster in a lifetime. Daddy said love meant secrets. But I knew it felt wrong. So I planned, I practiced, I left. The whole room was silent except for tears. David Harrison's defense painted him as a broken man. But Olivia's quiet words tore down every lie. Real love doesn't make you hide. The verdict was guilty on all counts, and the real sentence went out to everyone in that town who'd chosen comfort over courage. The judge said, "Protecting children is everyone's job." That landed harder than the gavel. You could see it on every face. Regret, shame, maybe a little resolve. Now here's the part people don't see on TV, the messy, hopeful aftermath. Olivia went to live with the Hendersons, a foster family built for healing. Sunflowers in the yard, a dog named Buster, an old keyboard waiting by her bed. For the first time, she started to laugh, to play, to paint pictures in bright yellow and green. She wrote a melody called the Helper Song, played it at therapy, and watched other kids light up. The transformation was slow, uneven, but real. And it changed me, too. I started showing up for my own daughter Bethany, not just in body but in heart, the way my wife would have wanted. We talked for hours about happiness and grief, about what families owe each other, about how being brave sometimes means breaking the rules. Bethany said, "Dad, you should adopt her." The truth is, I'd wanted that since the first night in the diner. The day I asked Olivia if she'd come live with us, her face went from shock to joy in 3 heartbeats. "You want me for real?" she said. "I want nothing more." We learned that healing isn't a switch, it's a fight, 1,000 small battles. There were hard nights, old ghosts, rough words between sisters. But we kept showing up, every day, for each other. 2 years later, at her school talent show, Olivia played the song she'd written about finding sunshine in the dark. I watched her on stage, strong, proud. A survivor teaching a room full of grown-ups about hope. Here's the truth, the ending that's really a beginning. Families aren't always born. Sometimes they're built out of bravery and brokenness. Sometimes it only takes one person willing to listen, one voice that refuses to stay quiet, for a whole community to wake up. I learned more about love from that little girl than I ever did from any rulebook. She says we gave her wings, but the truth is, she helped us all learn to fly. Now, before you scroll away, let me ask you, have you ever heard a cry for help and turned away because it was easier? What would you do if it was your neighbor, your student, your own child? Drop your thoughts below. Because this isn't just Olivia's story, it belongs to every community that's ever chosen silence over action. Do you think justice was truly served? Would you have acted differently? Let's talk about it. Because the next voice crying out might need you to be the one who listens if you think happy endings come easy after the verdict drops and the courtroom empties out. You haven't lived through the quiet aftermath of saving a broken child. That first week with Olivia in our home, I thought hope alone could carry us through. That love, pure and stubborn, would stitch shut all the wounds. But, yeah, real healing is messier than you'd ever imagine. The nights came hardest, bringing old fears alive. Olivia would bolt awake screaming, calling for a mother she never knew, sometimes sobbing so hard she'd forget to breathe. I'd hold her in the dark, humming, "You are my sunshine," over and over, until the tears dried up and she drifted back to sleep, fingers tangled in my shirt like she was scared I might disappear too. Bethany, my own daughter, tried to be brave, but the cracks showed. She was used to having me to herself after her mother died. Now, all that space, all that silence, belonged to someone new. I'd catch her watching Olivia, half jealousy, half pity, and then she'd look away guilty. The first real blowout happened on a Tuesday night. Olivia had another panic attack at dinner, and Bethany just snapped. I know I said I wanted her here, Dad, but I didn't know it would be like this. I'm mad all the time, and I feel terrible for it. She stormed out, and I sat there, wishing for a parenting manual, knowing damn well it didn't exist. One night, I found Olivia hiding in the hall closet, clutching her stuffed elephant, silent as a stone. I heard Bethany say I was hard work, she whispered. Maybe I should go back to Miss Carroll's so your real family can be happy again. Let me back up a sec. That broke me. I called a family meeting. No more silence, no more pretending. We talked. All 3 of us, for the first time with the masks off. Being a family means we don't give up on each other, even when it hurts, even when we're tired, I said. Bethany took Olivia's hand, and through tears, promised, I'm still learning to be a sister. I want you here. I just need you to know it's hard sometimes, but I'm not going anywhere. After that, things got a little better. Not perfect, but better. Therapy helped. Dr. Emma, the same child psychologist who first spoke to Olivia in Mel's diner, started coming to the house. She'd sit with the girls, let them draw, let them shout, let them grieve. I learned that sometimes the best thing a parent can do is sit quietly and just let the storm pass. Twist came when, a few months in, Olivia was asked to testify again, this time not just against her father, but as a witness for another little girl in foster care, someone she'd met at Sunshine Haven. That night, Olivia sat with me on the porch, legs curled under a blanket, face pale. "Dad, what if I say the wrong thing? What if people get hurt again because I talk?" I told her the truth, that bravery isn't about never being scared. It's about doing what's right even when you're shaking. But I saw it in her eyes, the old fear creeping back. In court, Olivia's voice was soft but steady. She told the truth, her truth, and the story of a friend, helping save another life just by being willing to remember her own pain. Afterward, she asked me, "Why do people hurt the ones they love?" That's a question with no good answer. I just said, "Sometimes broken people break others. But you, kiddo, you're proof that pain doesn't get the last word." As months passed, our little family found new routines. Olivia started music lessons and joined the school choir. She made friends, real friends, the kind who showed up for her birthday, the kind who didn't care about the wheelchair or the past. Bethany stepped up as a big sister, sometimes fiercely protective, sometimes jealous, but always present. They bickered over TV remotes and fought over who'd get the last cookie, small, ordinary battles that tasted like healing. But the past has long shadows. Letters started arriving from Olivia's birth father in prison, begging forgiveness, promising he'd changed, that he missed her, that he never meant to cause harm. The law gave Olivia a choice when she turned 8, to read the letters, to write back, or to let them rot unopened. That was a storm none of us were ready for. For weeks, Olivia wouldn't talk. Barely ate, haunted by old confusion. I wanted to shield her from every memory, but Dr. Emma said it was her story to decide, her pain, her closure. In the end, Olivia asked me to read one letter aloud. We sat together as she listened. She didn't cry. She just said, "Maybe I'll forgive him. But not today." Life moved on, bit by bit. Olivia's Helper song became the anthem of her school, played at talent shows, bringing teachers and parents to tears. She started a tiny club for new kids, the ones who looked lost at lunch, and told them, sometimes families are made, not born. You'd see her, spinning in the hallway in her chair, sunflowers tucked behind her ear, a magnet for every stray soul. And me? I started talking at community meetings, sharing Olivia's story, asking people to listen, to trust their instincts, to never ignore a child's silent plea. Sometimes people looked away, uncomfortable. Sometimes they cried. But a few came up after, saying, "I wish I'd heard this sooner. Maybe I could have helped." Yeah, that happened. One rainy night, Margaret Sullivan, the neighbor who'd convinced herself nothing was wrong, knocked on our door. She handed Olivia a pot of blooming yellow daffodils. "You taught me to speak up," she said, voice trembling. "I want to be better. For you, for other kids." That's the real ending. If there is one, redemption isn't just for the victims. It's for everyone who chooses to change. But if you think this story wraps up neat, you haven't been paying attention. Trauma lingers. Some wounds heal. Some become scars you carry forever. But the beauty is in what you build with the broken pieces. New songs, new families, new courage. Olivia still has nightmares. Bethany and I still get it wrong sometimes. But every morning, we wake up and choose each other again. So, let me ask you, what would you have done if the warning signs were next door, in your school, at your church? Do you think justice ends with a verdict? Or does it begin with every one of us refusing to look away? Drop your thoughts below. Is forgiveness possible for people like David? Would you read those letters? Or would you let them stay unopened? How do you know when a family is truly healed? Tell me, what does justice look like in your world? And who will you choose to listen to the next time a quiet voice asks for help? Because sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is simply not walk away.